You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, I'm not sure where we're going with this story, but
well, before we go any further,
Yeah.
I just want to say we try our best to have lots and lots of fun on Montreal Now. And I want to thank you, Natasha, in your segment in the last half hour about the restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You gave me the best laugh. At one point you said, well, it looks like the Bank of Canada is not going to raise its rates anymore. Maybe prices will go down. And I only stopped laughing like 8 seconds ago, right? So I want to thank you for that because, when you're laughing so hard, my wife had to yell downstairs, are you okay down there? But, yeah, it's okay. But thanks a lot.
That's what we're here for, Jim.
I know.
Yeah. Did you say that?
You said it.
I said that, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And I laughed at it.
You did. Thank you for laughing.
And evidently so did Jim.
You dispensed with your usual, maybe I'm being naive, but...
Yeah. Should have said that at the beginning. All right, Jim, let me go to this poll here because I'm trying to understand what's going on. The last time we saw a political poll, federally, we had the Conservatives gaining strength. You're suggesting now that a new poll shows perhaps Pierre Poilievre running out of steam?
Well, it's not so much out of steam, although the momentum seems to have diminished somewhat. They're 7 points ahead nationally. As we've explained to the listeners on many occasions before, a lot of the Tories' support, though, is inefficiently centered out in the West. However, they still are leading by about, I think, 4 points in Ontario. They're off the map in Quebec. They've made huge inroads in British Columbia, and it looks like they're chipping away at the red liberal fortress of the Maritimes. But what I want to point out is in this poll, and I'm maybe it's happened before. I don't think it's ever happened in Canadian politics before, but it's whatever the next election is going to be held. The real theme is going to be, who do you hate the least? Because we have some astounding numbers here. This is an Angus Reid poll that was just conducted last week. In other words, it was in the, how can I put it, the crest of the wave of Pierre Poilievre's makeover. And Justin Trudeau, 57% disapproval. Pierre Poilievre, 52% disapproval. JT gets 39% approval and 36% for Pierre Poilievre. And this is not exactly numbers that I would say are awe-inspiring. These aren't numbers that are going to tell people, go out and vote because it's marvelous. And yet, this seems to be going on and on. And I've complained before about the Americanization of our politics. Well, here it is. It's for real. We're not dealing with policies. We're not dealing with, your local MP. We're talking about the leader of the party, both of whom seem to be held in varying degrees of distaste and disdain and contempt by the Canadian electorate. But guess what? This is what we got. This is what we're going to be cannoning into the next election campaign with. And the funny thing is, I would respectfully submit that if both men were to withdraw from politics tomorrow, it would have the same effect on Canadian politics as asteroids do on dinosaurs. I mean, they have really set the table here. This is a matter of personality. People barely remember what the policies of each party is, but they certainly remember what goofy thing the other guy said and why you should be angry about it. I think it's a bad place to be, but here we are.
I wonder, I noticed something, and I guess we can expect to see more of this. A couple of opinion columns in the paper over the weekend kind of taking some shots at Pierre Poilievre, and not unfairly, I might add, just the fact that, one brought up this idea that he is a little out of touch, despite the fact that he seems to be talking like he's, one of the regular folk, referring to a waitress working in, I think it was in Sault Ste. Marie or somewhere, saying, I don't know how this woman gets by. She's probably only making about $20 an hour, maybe $65,000 a year, when it turns out the average wage there is less than $40,000 a year. She's probably not even making half that. And you wonder if that kind of stuff is going to start sticking to him.
Well, you would imagine so if people remember it. I mean, even today, I don't know if you guys have been following the Great Canadian Press conspiracy scandal that broke today.
No.
Canadian Press wrote basically a stand-up piece saying it looks like Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives are adopting the language used by conspiracy theorists.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Oh, yes.
Okay? So this is produced by the Canadian Press, which many of our listeners already know this, but I'll just remind them. It's a news service, and all of us, CJAD, Post Media, and the Gazette, the Toronto Star, we all sort of are members, and we buy this stuff. We pay a fee for it, but we use it. So the thing is, they take the front of the Star, I think CTV News, and I forget maybe the Globe and Mail. But anyway, all that said, they're going, oh look, 3 stories with the same headline. A coincidence? So in other words, they're trying to shoot down the idea that the conspiracy theorist with a conspiracy theory. So, that's where we are.
Okay.
This is what it's come to. Just on Pierre Poilievre again for a second. So, he's not gaining ground where he needs to gain ground. I just wonder, historically, it is near impossible to win without Quebec and Ontario, but it can be done.
Well, you can win an election. The saying is you can win an election in Ontario, but to win a majority, to win a government, you need Quebec.
Okay.
Pierre Poilievre is as far away from winning in Quebec as we are from the Crab Nebula. Now, that may change, but I don't see it happening because the Bloc Québécois keeps doggedly remaining either slightly ahead of the Liberals or slightly behind the Liberals, but those guys are usually high 20s, low 30s, and I think the last poll that I saw, not this one, but the last one, actually had them breaching 20%, the Tories breaching 20% in Quebec. But c'est pas promettant, comme on dit, in these here parts. So no, I don't see that happening. I'm not saying I don't see a Poilievre government. I just don't see a Poilievre majority.
So let me move on to hear something going on provincially. Now, I'm going to guess this is referring, Jim, to the provincial government's decision now to create yet another sort of oversight organization. This time with respect to what, construction?
Oh, no.
Not that?
Call them what they are, first of all. They're middlemen. You will remember Christian Dubé, everyone's favorite health minister, said, it's time to shake the foundations of the temple, shake the pillars of the temple. We're going to create a separate agency. I know we have a health ministry, but, health ministrying is hard. So we're going to create an agency called Health Quebec, Santé Québec. And they're going to be responsible for all the day-to-day operations and coordination. And we in the ministry, even though that's supposed to be our job, we're not going to do that. We're going to sit back and think deep thoughts and determine policy. Well, that was met with some skepticism when it was announced. And guess what? Now, the CAQ government of François Legault wants to do the same thing with the transportation ministry. It's interesting. It's both. Both ministries are the largest ticket items in the provincial budget. And now they're saying, well, there have been problems with, estimates going over and this and that. So from what has been, made known to reporters thus far, either at RADCAN or La Presse, they're basically saying, we're going to go out, we're going to get the high-end managers, we're going to get les soi-disant top guns, and we're going to organize the heck out of the transport department, and things are going to be coherent, and things are going to be just great. We're not going to have, a $6 billion project 1 year, and then 18 months later it's going to cost $12 billion. We're going to bring the hammer down. It seems to me what's happening here, and that was the complaint with Dubé's so-called health reform, is you're saying, okay, I know I'm supposed to be responsible for this, but I'm going to keep it at arm's length. So if something goes wrong, I can blame some guy from the private sector. It's a very dangerous trend, and it is, to a certain extent, even though it's membraneed away from the ministry itself, it is kind of, I won't say a step, but maybe a side shuffle towards the privatization of the management of 2 of Quebec's biggest, most important, most expensive ministries. Will it pay off? Are we going to realize savings here? Are we going to see efficiency? Well, as they say, only time will tell. But frankly, I think this is more window dressing than anything else. And I really, and as the opposition complained when Dubé's announcement came out, this is not how things work. You're the minister. You are responsible. You don't get to point your finger at some guy who you hired out of the private sector and say, oh, no, well, if you have a problem, talk to him. The way things work in this country, or if you like in this nation, we ask you, and you are responsible. And I'm really wondering if there's an attempt on the part of the CAQ government to try and create that divide. And we all know, in our experience in the past 2 terms, if these guys know how to do anything, it's to make excuses.
Indeed.
They're good at that. James Mennie over at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
That amount.